Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Benny Ricciardi with rotocurve.com, and I'm here with our DraftKings and MLB Benny's Bats video. Remember, we are offering a discount on our weekly subscription service this week. If you go over to rotocurve.com/membership, you can sign up, put in the coupon code Benny, and you'll get $2 off a weekly membership, which will only be $5 for you. And you can try it out, see if you like it. There's a lot of good stuff there. We got our splits tools in there. Our optimized daily lineups are in there. We got our matchups tool in there. And we also offer our, premium sheet in there, which is, a lot of the guys that we mentioned in the video and all the guys who are popping up highly on all the, screeners that Josh puts together for us over here. So let's get into the real reason why we're here today, to talk a little bit about the matchups. What we like to do is look at each pitcher that's on the mound, try to figure out what their weaknesses are, and then figure out which bats profile to do the best against them. We got a 14-game slate today. There's 15 games on Friday, 14 of them for the 7 o'clock slate. So those are the ones we're going to talk about. First game up, Baltimore at Toronto. Marco Estrada on the mound for Toronto, and he's been really good this year. He's got about a strikeout per inning. Right-handed bats are only hitting 202 against him. Left-handed bats are only hitting 154 against them. He does have a high fly ball rate, not something that's great for Toronto, but he's been really, really good this year. When guys do hit him, they do tend to hit a few home runs off him, but he hasn't been giving up a lot of hits, so therefore he hasn't been giving up a lot of home runs either. Baltimore, the reason why I don't really like Baltimore in this game, and I'm going to tell you guys, while I was looking at the, stats, there's a couple guys that profile to do okay, but when I was looking at the BVP numbers, the top 7 in the Baltimore lineup, so all the guys who we would really use in any combinations of stacks, they're 11 for 68 against him with 21 strikeouts. So I think Estrada's in a really good spot here today. I mean, he should probably get a strikeout per inning, go about 7 innings, 6-7 innings into this game, and, probably limit this Baltimore team. They haven't hit him well. They're hitting about 150 as a team against them lifetime. So, if I'm using anybody, it's probably Manny Machado. He has that upside. He can do the home run like he did the other night against John Gray. The team didn't hit well, and Baltimore hasn't been hitting well. But, Machado was the one guy that was able to get a hold of one, hit a home run for you. I think one of these guys does wind up tagging Estrada for a home run at some point, but I wouldn't stack up Baltimore at all today. I think that's a stupid thing to do. If you're using any more than one Baltimore guy in your lineup, make sure it's a guy that has home run power, which is basically their whole lineup. But I wouldn't use more than one of these guys, and probably not in cash either. The other side of this game, we got Kevin Gausman pitching for Baltimore. He's been solid, actually, in 4 of his last 5 starts. He's averaging 21 fantasy points, getting you some strikeouts. He's only 9K, so it's not a horrible price. He's going up against a good offense here, though, and it's a bad pitcher's park. So that's the thing that kind of gives me a little bit of a pause. And right-handed bats are actually the ones that hit him better. Right-handed bats had a bigger average against them last year, too. So it's something that we see over the course of a couple seasons at this point. Josh Donaldson has hit him well, 4 of 12 lifetime. He's a 399 WOBA, 271 ISO guy against right-handed pitching since the start of last season. Encarnacion usually hits righties well, but he's actually 0 of 12 lifetime against Gausman. So, whatever you want to do with that information, he profiles well, although he hasn't hit him well in the past. 12 at bats is not a big enough sample size for me to say he's not going to be able to hit him. He could have just had some bad luck. But at the same point in time, it is something that I want to, at least mention to you guys, because it is something that should go into your analysis. The next game we'll talk about, Colorado at the New York Mets. Tyler Chatwood on the mound for Colorado. And you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but he's actually one of my favorite pitchers on the mound today. Huge ground ball rate for this guy. Been really solid in 2016. On the road so far this year, remember, he pitches his games at home at Coors, and his overall numbers aren't even that bad. But on the road, in 48 innings pitched, 8 starts that he has, 1.30 ERA, 1.01 WHIP, and a 183 batting average against with about 30 strikeouts. Now, he's not a big strikeout guy, so he's not someone who's going to go 7 innings and get you 12 Ks. But, I mean, nobody's been hitting this guy. Right-handed bats hit him a little bit better, 266 average, only 6 home runs in 54 innings, so he's not a guy that gives up a lot of long balls at all either. And honestly, who do you really like on the Mets bats-wise? I mean, Cespedes is the best bat in righty-on-righty situations probably, and he's not really somebody I'm worried about at this point. He's still banged up from the injury at the All-Star break. You look at the lefties, you got guys like Granderson, Conforto, who was so bad they had to send him down to AAA before him, to try to find his swing again. there's just not a lot of power in this Mets lineup. So I really don't hate Chatwood. I don't think anybody's going to use him, and 7K on DraftKings is pretty cheap. So just keep that in mind as a cheap option tonight. And obviously, we're not on any of the Mets bats because of it. The other side of this game, you got Steven Matz, the lefty. He's been really good in his last couple starts. Had a little bit of a struggle a few starts before that. But the Rockies are a team that do not hit left-handed pitching as well, and they also don't hit as well when they're on the road. So in Citi Field, which is a huge park downgrade for them coming from Coors, I actually think Matz is pretty good here. If I'm looking at anybody, it's going to be the righties. You know, righties are the way you want to go after Matz. Arenado, 340 WOBA, 203 ISO. I won't have much exposure to him, but he's always somebody that's, you know, a good game theory kind of play because he's going to be low owned when he's not in a matchup that stands out. I don't think he's going to be very highly owned today. I don't think he's going to be really low owned either. So I'm kind of going to be fading away from him, but he is somebody that could have a good game here today. The guy I like better, though, is Trevor Story. He's been hitting really well against left-handed pitching. His numbers are pretty eye-popping. 415 WOBA, 323 ISO score this year. Now, granted, it isn't a ton of at-bats, but it's enough at this point for us to, you know, at least take notice. Again, huge park downgrade for him, but I don't think a lot of people are going to be on Story against Matz. So he's another one. I think against Matz, these guys are going to go lower owned than they normally do, and I think they're in a pretty decent spot. I don't think this is a horrible matchup for him. So, you know, I like Story, like Arenado a little bit. Next game is Houston at Detroit. You got Colin McHugh on the mound. Right-handed bats actually hit him better, so he's kind of a reverse splits guy. And Detroit is basically all right-handed bats. You know, V-Mart, Kinsler, Cabrera, probably my three favorite. But, you know, I do think Detroit knocks them around. I don't think they light them up for 7 or 8 runs, though, so I don't know if I would stack them up. But I do think that, like, a mini stack with, like, V-Mart or, you know, Kinsler, it's tough to do with V-Mart and Cabrera on DraftKings where they're the same position. You can do it a little easier if you can use V-Mart, a catcher, over on FanDuel. But, you know, I wouldn't mind having some exposure to Detroit today. The other side of this game, too, you got Boyd, who's a lefty. His last 3 starts, he's been pretty good. You know, 15 innings, 17 strikeouts. I think he gave up 12 hits, 3 walks, 2 runs. So that's really solid for his last 3 starts. Now, the 2 starts before that, he got lit up for 6 and 7 runs. So there's definitely some upside here. And you look at this Houston team. This Houston team smashes left-handed pitching. I mean, Altuve, 423 WOBA, 189 ISO. You know, this guy basically has like a 380 batting average against left-handed pitching in the last 3 seasons. So obviously he loves when the lefty's on the mound. George Springer absolutely lights up lefties too. 405 WOBA, 262 ISO. You know, a lot of his big games this season have come against left-handed starting pitching, so it's a great spot for him. You know, Evan Gattis can hit home runs against left-handed pitching, so he's in play. Marvin Gonzalez has good numbers against lefty. If he's in the 2 spot, he's in play. You know, Carlos Correa is actually not much better against lefties. He's pretty much even to right and left-handed batters, but, you know, still, it's a decent matchup for him as well. He's a shortstop that's batting basically in a cleanup spot lately, so you're not going to find better, you know, lineup real estate. And then even Bregman, the rookie that they just brought up, he's supposed to be like their next big thing. You know, some people say he's like a, you know, Nomar Garcia-Parra shortstop kind of type. You know, solid hitter, has a little bit of pop, you know, really good glove as well. You know, so I think that this is, you know, one of those spots where I think stacking up Houston makes a lot of sense. Obviously, it's expensive. It's not easy to do, but I do think it's a good matchup for them anytime they go up against a lefty. The Yankees are going up against Tampa Bay today. Odorizzi's on the mound for Tampa Bay. Big reverse splits kind of guy. Righty on righty is the way you want to attack him. Left-handed bats are actually hitting below 200 against them this year. So righties are hitting 284. That's the way we want to go. Does have a little bit of strikeout upside. He's about a K per inning kind of guy. Now, I really like Brian McCann. I know I just said we don't want to use the lefties. McCann, though, is the BVP play of the day for me. He's 12 of 23 against Jake Odorizzi with 3 home runs. So if you're looking for somebody to use, I think he's probably going to be a very popular catcher option. I think he makes sense to use in your cash games because a lot of people are going to go to him. So even if you're just using him for the block, and again, he's hitting over 500 against Odorizzi in 23 plate appearances with 3 home runs. So, you know, he is somebody who has great numbers against them. Righty on righty, I also like Starlin Castro here today. 2 of 5 lifetime with the home run against Odorizzi. He's one of the guys that actually profiles well on this Yankees team. You know, I'm not using any of the outfielders today. All the outfielders are going to be hitting from the left side. You got Gardner, Ellsbury, and then McCann, Beltran, who's the switch hitter, but he'll be hitting from the left too. And none of them have good numbers, and Odorizzi's been tough on those lefties. So other than McCann, I'm not using any of the Yankee lefties today. The other side of this game, we got Ivan Nova pitching for the Yankees. Normally left-handed bats the way you want to go after him, but right-handed bats are hitting 275 against them too this year. So, I guess you can look both sides. He's actually been good. He's thrown gems basically in 3 of his last 4 starts, going about 5 or 6 innings, only giving up 1 run in each one of those starts, then handing it over to the bullpen. If he does that here today, you're not going to get much out of this Tampa Bay offense. Righty on righty, I don't really love anybody on Tampa Bay. Longo has decent numbers against them lifetime. So Longoria, 10 of 36, 3 home runs. Maybe if you want to use him as a one-off. I think if you're going to use Tampa Bay at all, the way to do it is say you don't like Nova, you think they're going to light him up, and then just go ahead and stack up like 5 or 6 bats at the top of that order. I don't really love doing it because it's in Tampa Bay, but Nova has been a guy who's gotten blown up before. Although, like I said, 3 of his last 4 starts, he's been really solid. Next game, we're going to talk about Oakland at Cleveland. You got Trevor Bauer on the mound. Trevor Bauer has given up 14 earned runs in his last 3 starts, and it hasn't been like one game of 10. It's been like 4 or 5 runs each game. So definitely not pitching his best right now. Part of the reason is the walks. Part of the reason is he's been giving up some home runs right now too. I mean, on the season, right and left-handed bats only hitting about 230 against them. So, he's pretty even to both sides of the plate. I think if you're going to look at bats on Oakland, Josh Reddick and Danny Valencia, both guys with a little bit over a 360 WOBA against right-handed pitching. I like both of them in the middle of the order. I think Chris Davis, because he has the home run power, and Bauer's been giving up the home runs lately. Righty on righty, Davis has good power. And like we said, Bauer's pretty even to both sides of the plate, so it doesn't make a difference. I have no problem rolling a right-hander there. Like I said, he's basically been giving up some home runs lately. So if he can avoid the home runs, he'll be all right. But again, there's a couple guys in the middle of this order for Oakland that can hit him. So maybe using him as a one-off. I don't think I would stack him up. Bauer doesn't give up a ton of hits, so you don't want to stack with a pitcher that doesn't give up a lot of hits. You want to stack with a pitcher that, gives up 8 or 9 hits, so you can get a whole bunch of runs and RBIs and those 3 and 5 points from the singles and doubles. The other side of this game, we got Kendall Graveman. Left-handed bats been the way to go after him. They're hitting like 290 this year, but right-handed bats have been okay too. I kind of like this Cleveland lineup against them. You look at Kipnis, 383 WOBA, 194 ISO, good lefty-righty situation. Carlos Santana, who's probably going to be leading off, 351 WOBA, 234 ISO. I feel like he's always lower owned than he should be. This is a leadoff hitter who gets extra at bats. Yeah, he's not going to steal your bases, but he's going to hit your home runs at a rate that most leadoff hitters don't hit it for you. And, getting that extra at bat is always something I like to see. You can use guys like Lindor and Napoli too. I'm hoping they move Tyler McQuinn up in the order. 435 WOBA, 312 ISO for the lefty against right-handed pitching so far this year. He's been absolutely crushing the ball. They keep batting him down in like the 8th spot, but if you see him up higher in the order, he's somebody I would definitely give a chance to as a cheaper bat. Next game, St. Louis at Miami. We got Mike Leake on the mound. Left-handed bats better against him. Righties are actually hitting him well this year too, 285, but normally he's tougher on righties. I guess Stanton is still in play, 355 WOBA, big ISO score, huge power out of him. So every day he's basically in play. It's not like Leake's a guy that gives up a ton of home runs to right-handed bats, but, at the same point in time, Stanton can hit one off anybody. I do like the guys like Yelich and Dietrich in that lineup, the lefties. Again, you got D. Gordon back now too as well, so another lefty. I completely forgot about him. All those guys that are on from the left side are probably the better bats to use. I don't think I'm really looking to stack this game up, though. It's in Miami. I don't expect a big total here. I don't think Leake is lights out, but he's serviceable enough that he doesn't get lit up often. The other side of this game, we got the rookie Urena from Miami, and he's been solid as a starter. He's had 2 starts so far, gone about 5 or 6 innings in each one, only given up 1 earned run, has a 9 strikeout to 1 walk K to base on ball ratio, which is something I like to see out of a young pitcher. Again, it's only been limited innings, but left-handed bats have hit him well out of the bullpen and, in his couple starts so far this year. St. Louis doesn't really have any that I'm looking at right now. I mean, Adams is probably the best one left with Carpenter on the DL. But this offense has been good against right-handed pitching. I mean, you got Amedes Diaz, 393 WOBA, 229 ISO, just absolutely killing the ball. His price is really high on DraftKings, and he was kind of cheap on FanDuel. So depending on what site you're playing on, just take a look at what his price is. He might be somebody to include. Randall Gierchuk, another one of those guys that, hits well against right-handed pitching, righty-on-righty situations. It's got like a 355 WOBA, 266 ISO, so he does have some power in righty-on-righty spots. So he'd probably be the other guy I'd look at there. Next game is Philly at Atlanta. You got Vincent Velasquez on the mound. And left-handed bats the way to go after him. They're hitting about 265, 7 home runs in 40 innings, so about 1 every 6 innings. Not too bad there. He does have a high fly ball percentage, though. He's been tagged for a couple home runs. I feel like he should have been tagged for more with the fly ball percentage. He's kind of gotten a little lucky that a lot of them have stayed in the park, especially with his home park being a good hitter's park. But they're in Atlanta today, so some of those fly balls might die down there as well. The one lefty, the only lefty I'm really looking at on this Atlanta team is going to be Freddie Freeman. 376 Woba, 240 ISO for him. I mean, if you want to use guys like Jace and Markakis and Ciarte, I guess if you're stacking up against Velasquez, go ahead. But I don't think it's a great idea to stack Atlanta against Velasquez today. The other side of this game, you got Tyrell Jenkins, the young Atlanta pitcher, and he's kind of looked overmatched so far to start the year. He's given up 6 home runs in 23 innings against righties. He's given up 6 home runs, 6.17 ERA, 1.89 WHIP. The problem is there's not a lot against lefties. I'm sorry. The problem is there's not a lot of bats that I really love on Philly, but Cesar Hernandez, Hail Caesar, our boy from last season, he's been leading off. He's been stealing bases, double digits in 5 of his last 8 starts right now. So again, like we said with him last year, if he gets a hit or he gets a walk, he steals second base and he scores a run, he's got you 10 points. So for 3,500, he makes value. So I love him in cash games when he's hot like this. He's somebody I've been playing the last couple of days, and it's been working out pretty well for me. So I think we're back to that point where, we're going to put him in our lineups and our cash game lineups and, hope he gets on base and steals against Jenkins, a guy who's been giving up a lot of hits and a lot of runs. I think this is a good spot to kind of roll him out there. Let's see. We also got Odubel Herrera, who's probably their best left-handed bat. 350 Woba for him against righties. Obviously a good play. Another guy that could steal bases and score some runs for us. And then the guys behind them that are going to be knocking them in are the other guys you can look at. They're both right-handed bats. Mikael Franco, Tommy Joseph. Both of these guys got some power, both young hitters, both pretty solid. I think you can roll them out there as well. So I have no problem stacking up against Tyrell Jenkins today, even though it's in Atlanta. I would like it a little better if it was in Philly. But I think Philly might be a sneaky stack here today, and Jenkins has been that bad. KC against Texas, you got Edinson Volquez on the mound. Little bit of a reverse splits for him last couple years, 282 average for righties this season. Lefties are hitting 242. He does have a high ground ball rate and a low home run rate, so he's not really a guy that gets lit up. He's usually able to get through 5 or 6 innings for you, and even if he doesn't put up a big fantasy score, he's also not allowing the opponents to put one up. So, just keep that in mind when you're looking at guys to use. I mean, honestly, Texas really hasn't been all that good lately against right-handed pitching either, despite all these lefty bats they throw out there. Guys like Odor, Mazzara, you got Mitch Moreland. I'm not really in love with any of these guys. The one guy I am looking at a little bit is Jurickson Profar. 359, probably the best Woba that they have there for guys against right-handed pitching on Texas right now. And that's a problem over the last year and a half that, the best guy they have right now against righties based on the numbers is Profar, who's really only had like 150 at-bats so far in his major league career. The other side of this game, you got A.J. Griffin pitching for Texas. Griffin's very tough on right-handed bats, so I don't think we want to look at any of the righties on Kansas City. But lefties are hitting 269 against him, 8 home runs in 31 innings, and he has a huge fly ball percentage. In Texas, that huge fly ball percentage could be a problem for him, so I like guys like Hosmer and Morales. If you're looking at the park shift and the fly ball percentage and all that to be a problem for him, you probably want Morales over Hosmer. Hosmer is the solider cash play option. He gets more hits, gets on base, scores a few more runs. But Morales is the guy that has the home run power. So if you're looking to use one of those in a tournament, it's probably Morales for me. Next game we talk about Chicago White Sox at Minnesota. Jose Quintana on the mound. He's been real good this year. 297 ERA, 1.11 WHIP, 116 strikeouts, 130 innings. Really tough on left-handed bats. Righties are the way to go, and even righties are only hitting 239 against them with 11 homers in 99 innings, so about 1 home run every 9 innings, which is, really good numbers that he has. If you're looking at guys on Minnesota, it'd probably be guys like Brian Dozier, Miguel Sano, but I really don't think it's a great spot for bats, so I'm not really looking to take anybody against Quintana. But if you want to, be my guest. There are a lot of right-handed bats on Minnesota if you want to go that route and stack them up. I don't think that's a horrible way to do it if you're going to do anything in the tournament. The other side of this game, we got Ricky Nolasco, not a very good pitcher. Right-handed bats, 316 against them, 12 home runs in 61 innings, so about 1 every 5 innings. Left-handed bats, 273. The home run rate's actually lower for left-handed bats, which I was surprised. And so is the batting average, too. But you can start guys from either side of the plate against them. Again, the White Sox offense he's going up against isn't all that great, though. Abreu is good in righty on righty spots, 364 WOBA, 205 ISO. His price has been cheap because he really hasn't been hitting all that well this year. Tim Anderson, another cheap option you can use at shortstop, righty on righty. You want to look at the lefties. You got guys like Adam Eaton and Melky Cabrera. So the guys up towards the top of the order, Nolasco is not a good pitcher. I think they're in a decent spot. I just don't see them putting up a huge number. Next game, Pittsburgh at Milwaukee. Junior Guerrera on the mound for Milwaukee he's been sneaky good. I mean, I didn't even realize how great this guy's numbers were this year. 2.85 ERA, 1.09 WHIP, 80 strikeouts in 94 innings. So he's not a high K guy, which is why I think DFS players don't really notice how good he is. But he's also somebody I don't think we should be using bats against. I mean, very good ground ball percentage as well. Like, this guy just really doesn't get lit up. The Pittsburgh bats haven't been all that great lately either, especially not against right-handed pitching. Guerrera actually pitched against them last week. He went 6 innings, 3 hits, 3 walks, 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts. If that's all that he's going to give up, that's not what I want from the bats that I'm taking against somebody. So I think I'm kind of off most of these Pittsburgh bats here. On the other side of this game, though, I do like the Milwaukee bats. I hear people talking about Brault today because he's like 4,100 in his price. This is his second start. He only went 4 innings his last start, so I can't imagine he's going to go more than 5 today. And even if he does go 5, he's a left-handed pitcher facing Milwaukee who hits righties well. Now, Ryan Braun's got great numbers, but he also might be on the DL. He was a late scratch yesterday, and I think he's listed as day-to-day. If he's in there, I think he's okay, but, obviously you got to see how serious that injury is. Jonathan Villar, I really like leading off, 370 WOBA. Again, he's expensive, though. All these Milwaukee bats are pricey today. I actually love Hernan Perez. I was just kind of talking about this guy this morning with a couple of my buddies. 6 of his last 10 games, he's got over double-digit fantasy points on DraftKings. He's averaging over 10 points over the last 10 games. He hits left-handed pitching well, and he's hitting in the 2-hole when they go against left-handed pitching. So I like Hernan Perez a lot. With Braun behind him, he's been seeing great pitches. I don't know if that'll change if Braun's not in the lineup. But, he put up 31 points last night without Braun in the lineup. So I guess he's okay. I guess he can still get it done even without Braun in there. So I like Perez a lot. He's getting a little pricey. I think he's 42 on DraftKings, but that's still pretty cheap for the kind of production he's been giving you. You can use guys like Jonathan Lucroy. You can use guys like Chris Carter. I like both of them. 2 other right-handed bats going up against a left-handed pitcher that hit lefties well. So, like I said, this Milwaukee team, there's a lot of stuff there that you can look at. I think there's a lot of guys that make sense to use. Next game, we got Boston against the LA Angels. You got Rick Porcello on the mound for Boston. 250 average against right and left-handed bats. Pretty even to both sides of the plate. Does have a high ground ball percentage. So, again, as a guy who's able to get himself out of trouble. A couple strikeouts, but not huge strikeout upside. But he also doesn't really get lit up all that much. So the only bat I'm really looking at is Mike Trout. Always in play for me every day. 415 WOBA, 278 ISO against right-handed pitching. So, some of the best numbers in the league. The other side of this game, I think we can take every single bat that suits up in a Boston Red Sox uniform today. Tim Lincecum has been garbage so far this year, giving up a 300 average to both sides of the plate, getting lit up, giving up a bunch of runs, got absolutely shelled in his last start. And this Red Sox team is one of the best offenses in the league. So David Ortiz, 4-something WOBA, 300-something ISO. Yes, give me some of that. Jackie Bradley Jr., 380 WOBA, 280 ISO. Put him in the lineups. Travis Shaw, another lefty you can look at. The righties, Mookie Betts, over 360 WOBA, 200 ISO against righties. He's in play. Pedroia, Xander Bogaerts, Hanley Ramirez. I mean, even if you want to go down to Sandy Leon, who was on fire for the last month and a half, any of the Red Sox bats you put in, they're expensive. They're not easy to stack. They're probably going to be popular, but I can't see them not lighting Lincecum up today. Next game, Arizona against the LA Dodgers. You got Kenta Maeda on the mound. I like him. He's a solid pitcher, doesn't really get lit up, but at the same point in time, he's not a high K guy, doesn't really put up huge fantasy scores, and is usually pretty pricey for what he actually does give you. So, not really using him, but also not really looking at a lot of bats. Goldie, I think, is always in play, 390 WOBA, even on righty matchups. Jake Lamb is another one of those guys, game time decision. He would be the guy that profiles best, the left-handed bat against the left-handed power bat against the right-handed pitcher. But like I said, Maeda's been pretty solid. Don't think we should be stacking up Arizona or having a lot of exposure there today. The other side of this game, we got Zach Godley, and the guy's a gas can. 4th start, averaging about 5 innings pitched, giving up at least 4 earned runs each start, giving up a ton of hits. I think he's given up like 23 hits in his last 3 starts, over like 14 innings or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, My problem today with the Dodgers isn't that they're in a good spot. Like, I love Seager, 404 WOBA, 230 ISO. I love Turner, righty on righty, 388 WOBA, 227 ISO. The problem I have with the Dodgers is all these guys are like 4,500 to 5K. And I don't think they're going to put up like 10 runs where it justifies, taking cheap pitching and trying to stack up all these bats. I'd probably use Seager and or Turner as one-offs if I needed to. But other than that, I don't see any reason to stack up, the Dodgers and pay like $4,500 to $5,200 for every single one of the guys you want to put into the stack. Next game, we got Washington at San Francisco. Max Scherzer's on the mound. Now, this is kind of interesting because Scherzer does struggle a little more with left-handed bats. I mean, he is a dominant pitcher, even against lefties. It's not like he's, somebody that they're going to light him up. But San Francisco does have a lot of lefties. So, Scherzer's usually lights out against right-handed bats and right-handed heavy lineups. He's probably going to see 6 left-handed bats today against San Francisco. Now, the left-handed bats San Francisco are using right now aren't really great. Even Brandon Belt, who's probably the best of them, is hitting in like the 6 hole now because he's been struggling a little bit. I mean, it's not like we're talking, some of the best left-handed bats in the game here, but, they could be a little bit tougher on Scherzer with all these lefties in there. So at the price, I think I'm kind of off him today, but it wouldn't shock me if he had a great game either. But I don't really see any bets that stand out as guys I have to use on San Francisco. The other side of this game, you got Jeff Samardzija. He's been hit hard in 3 of his last 4 starts and has been very up and down this year. Now, left-handed bats are the way you want to go after him. So Bryce Harper, 433 WOBA, 302 ISO, makes a heck of a lot of sense there. Daniel Murphy, 376 WOBA, 223 ISO. You want some of him. Ben Revere, somebody else, left-handed bat leading off for him. You can look at, Wilson Ramos and Trey Turner if you want to round out a stack, 2 of the better right-handed bats they have. Ramos has been one of the best hitting catchers this year, and Turner is one of the better hitting prospects, and he's leading off. He's still pretty cheap. I think he's outfield and second or third base eligible, so he's got a little bit of flexibility as well. So, I like all those guys here. I'm not a big fan of Samardzija, although the game's in San Francisco, not a place that usually yields huge offensive output. Last game, Cincinnati against San Diego. Brandon Finnegan, the lefty, on the mound for Cincinnati. San Diego does hit left-handed pitching. That's something they've always done well. Right-handed bats, higher average, and more home runs against Finnegan. So I like the 2 big bats. You got Myers and Kemp in the middle of that order. Myers, 400 WOBA, 204 ISO against left-handed pitching. Kemp, 375 WOBA, 269 ISO. Both guys should be able to get some hits. Kemp, I think, is a good chance to hit a home run today. And like I said, Myers is a guy I like too. So if you want to play these guys, you have my blessing. I think they'll both do well. And the best part about playing guys against Cincinnati is even when the starter leaves, you're going to get some garbage bullpen relief pitchers in there that can give up some more runs too. So, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Last starter on the mound is Edwin Jackson, pitching for San Diego. The Edwin Jackson that used to pitch for the Chicago Cubs a couple of years ago. Yep, same guy. Still a ton of walks for him. He's been okay because they haven't hurt him yet, but a guy that puts that many people on base is eventually going to get bit. He also has a huge fly ball rate. The home runs haven't hurt him yet, but again, a guy that has a fly ball rate that high, eventually they're going to turn into home runs. Left-handed bats have always killed them. Right-handed bats do okay against them. Love Joey Votto in this spot, 417 WOBA, 234 ISO for him. Again, he has the home run power, and he's a left-handed bat, and, everything just works out well for him. He's a guy that takes a lot of walks, so I think Votto's a great cash game play today, and I have no problem using him in tournaments either. Adam Duvall, righty on righty power, against a guy with a high fly ball rate. Duvall's got a ton of power. 356 WOBA is decent. 316 ISO is elite. So that's why I like him for the power upside. I think you can look at guys like Jay Bruce if you're looking for home run upside. Maybe Billy Hamilton as a stolen base option on top of the order if he's leading off again. I have no problem stacking up bats against Edwin Jackson. Haven't had a problem stacking up bats against Edwin Jackson for years. I'm not going to start doing it now. So I think all those guys make sense and all those guys are in play. And that wraps it up for all the games that we have to go through. I'm going to throw that coupon code up for you guys one more time. So remember, if you want to sign up for our premium service, we got a lot of good stuff that's going on over there right now. Basically, you can sign on. We got the splits tool for you. We got our, optimized daily lineups based on our projections. Josh and I adjust those projections daily. So far, we've been putting up some pretty good scores in cash games. A couple days, the cash game score actually was high enough to cash in some of these GPPs as well. So that's what we like to do here. We're trying to help you guys win. This is what you guys said you wanted. So, go over there. You can type in the promo code Benny. You get $2 off on your weekly membership. try it out for a week, see if you like the tools we have, see how you do. And, after you win some money, feel free to come back and try us out again. So thank you. This is Benny Ricciardi with rotocurve.com. And as always, stay classy, DFS.